the massacre that built a nation, the forgotten rebellion of Nat Turner. In the blistering heat of August 1831, the blood of hope and horror mixed in the soil of Southampton County, Virginia. A preacher stood with a Bible in one hand and a blade in the other, convinced that God had spoken to him through the sun, the earth, and the heavens. His name was Nat Turner, and in 48 hours, he would lead one of the most terrifying and significant slave rebellions in American history. But this isn't the story you've been told. This is the story buried under centuries of silence. Nat Turner was not born a revolutionary. He was born into chains. From the moment of his birth in 1800, he was marked, not just by the law, but by prophecy. His mother whispered that he would do great things, and the uncanny ability to read, something forbidden, yet somehow allowed by his early masters. His mind was sharp, his faith unshakable. While other children played with sticks in the dirt, Nat studied the sky. He read scripture in secret, grasping both the wrath and mercy of the Old Testament with equal intensity. But there was one story that never left him: Moses, a man who led his people out of bondage, not with swords, but with divine fire. By the age of 25, Nat had become a self-proclaimed prophet. He claimed to see visions, blood dripping from corn, black angels battling white ones in the sky. A voice, not his own, telling him, slay your enemies with their own weapons. Most dismissed him as mad. Others listened in secret. But the landowners, they were too distracted by cotton profits and false security to sense the storm brewing in their fields. It began before dawn on August 21st, 1831. Armed with axes, knives, and a terrifying conviction, Turner and 7 men entered the Travis plantation. What followed was not a riot. It was retribution. No man, woman, or child of the white households was spared. The rebels believed they were enacting divine justice for centuries of rape, torture, separation, and silence. Word spread like wildfire. Within hours, more enslaved people joined, swelling the group to over 70 men. But so did the fear. White militias responded with fury, not just in Southampton, but across the South. By the time it was over, nearly 60 white people had been killed, and in retaliation, over 200 black people were hunted down, many of whom had no connection to the rebellion at all. They were shot, hanged, mutilated, not as justice, but as warning. Nat Turner vanished into the woods. For 2 months, he hid in hollowed-out trees beneath leaves in silence. He had no illusions. He had not one. But he believed he had awakened something far more powerful than a battlefield victory. Captured in late October, Turner stood trial, defiant, unshaken. He confessed freely, describing his visions with calm precision. When asked why he did it, he replied, "Was not Christ crucified?" He was hanged on November 11, 1831, his body flayed, his head severed, his skin turned into souvenirs. But his name refused to die. What followed was worse than any massacre. Southern lawmakers passed stricter slave codes, banned black education, outlawed preaching. They did everything to snuff out the next Nat Turner, and in doing so, admitted just how afraid they truly were. Nat Turner's rebellion was not just a bloody chapter in history. It was a scream, a final, desperate scream in a system designed to crush souls before bodies. To the South, he was a madman. To many in the North, he was a monster. But to generations of the enslaved who came after, and to the freedom fighters of the future, he became something else. A symbol, a ghost, a prophecy fulfilled. In time, others would take up his fire. Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X. All different paths, but lit by the same flame. The belief that freedom is not a gift, it is a right, and sometimes it must be seized. And yet Nat Turner's story is rarely taught. Not because it isn't powerful, but because it is too powerful, too raw, too inconvenient, too uncomfortable. But history is not meant to comfort, it is meant to confront. So next time you hear about America's long road to freedom, remember the name that echoes in the dark fields of Virginia. The preacher who became a warrior, the man who dared to believe that even God weeps for the oppressed. Nat Turner did not free his people that day, but he made sure the world could never look away again. And in the silence that followed his execution, a nation heard, for the first time, the sound of rebellion beneath his feet. The question is, what do we do with it now?